Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the LAPESC Lafayette Parish School Board Candidate Forums. I am Mandy Mitchell, the chair of the LAPESC Candidate Forums Committee. The Lafayette Parish Public Education Stakeholders Council is a coalition of independent education stakeholder groups with a common commitment to improve overall academic achievement, to eliminate the achievement gap, and to increase high school graduation rates of all students. Our vision is to ensure a world-class education for every student in every public school with sufficient resources to unlock their transformative abilities so that 100% of our students reach their full potential and graduate from high school prepared to succeed in post-secondary education. Throughout the month of March 2014, 9 partner organizations teamed up to host a series of moderated roundtable discussions in order to listen and learn about the education issues most important to the Lafayette community. One overarching thread in the roundtable discussions was the need for all decision makers to continually focus on increasing student achievement and preparedness. The result of these conversations was the development of a common vision for our future. The vision is centered upon governance, facilities, and the 100% in, 100% out turnaround plan. You may visit www.commonvisionlafayette.org to learn more. Thank you to everyone in the audience and to those of you who are tuned in via AOC today. This wonderful turnout is a display of the community's keen interest in the future of public education in Lafayette Parish. Candidates, welcome, and thank you for accepting the invitation to participate in this evening's forum. For everyone's benefit, I'll briefly cover the ground rules. Candidates will be asked questions from 7 different categories. You will have 2 minutes to respond. At the 30-second mark, our timekeeper will flash the yellow card, and at the 2-minute mark, our timekeeper will flash the red card, at which time you must end your remarks. We will alternate within each district who gets to respond first so that everyone has a chance to do so. And please direct your responses to the audience and not your opponent, as there will be no rebuttals allowed. We have a very tight time frame to work with, so please use your 2 minutes wisely. And we're asking the audience to hold your applause until the very end. And once again, I'd like to remind everyone, please silence all of your electronic devices. I am joined this evening by co-moderator Jason Huffman, who is a fellow LAPESC member and the Director of Organizational Impact Strategies at United Way of Acadiana. Jason will briefly introduce the candidates present, and then we'll begin.
Thank you, Mandy. All right, as I call your name, if you'd please give a high sign to the audience so we know who you all are. From District 1 first, Mary Morrison. Also from District 1, Coach Don Gagnard. Thank you. From District 2, Tommy Angel. Also District 2, James Chavis. And we have a member from District 2, Simon Mahan, who's going to be arriving just a little bit late. He'll be at the first seat here at the table. From District 3, Mr. Elroy Broussard. And also from District 3, Shelton Cobb. All right, thank you all for being here tonight. We also have one candidate, Ms. Riddell Como-Miller, who has declined to participate for this evening. As Mandy mentioned, we're going to alternate the order of each question so that each candidate has the opportunity to respond first, and then also alternate the order of the districts themselves. Let's begin with the first question. During the community roundtables held earlier this year to develop the common vision, there was a repeated strong sentiment that the board oftentimes gets too involved in management and operation decisions rather than focusing on vision, goals, and policy for Lafayette Parish School System. So the first question is, what do you see as the school board's role and responsibilities versus the role and responsibilities of the superintendent? We'll begin with Coach Don Gagnard.
Okay, if you repeat the question, we'll
I
get
would be
started
glad
again.
to, yes, thank you. So question number 1, what do you see as the school board's role and responsibilities versus the role and responsibilities of the superintendent?
Well, being an old coach and coaching all my life, we learned to try to be loyal. And once the decision was made to get the superintendent, maybe we should have studied if there were some things we didn't like or agree with. But in the meantime, we need to give that particular person the chance to lead. Everything that he wishes to do, we need to back. I totally agree or would think that we would back our superintendent as assistant coaches, and he'd be the head coach. And loyalty is real important. Now, after a while, if things don't happen, I guess the win losses, I'll refer to football a lot of sports, is that, yeah, then changes will be made. But irregardless, I would definitely say that I would back our superintendent. He calls the shots most of the times, and then we would just give our input. That would be it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Same question, also from District 1, Ms. Morrison. What do you see as the board's role and responsibilities versus the superintendent's responsibilities?
Oh, to me, the superintendent takes care of day-to-day operations. He's in charge of hiring individuals. However, the school board, they are responsible for making policies and procedures and also voting on the budget. However, I think it's really crucial that they both communicate on all issues on hiring, policies, the budget. It is crucial that they communicate on all these issues, even though they both have different jobs. It's almost a job in one that you have got to work and communicate together to make good decisions for our school system.
Thank you. From District 2, Mr. Tommy Angel, the role and responsibility of the board versus those of the superintendent.
Thank you. I think the role of the board is primarily to set policy, to set procedure, to determine job descriptions and things of that nature. I see the board, if you would compare it to business, I see the board as a board of directors, if you will. And I guess borrowing a phrase from Coach over there, after the policies and procedures, salaries, et cetera, the calendar, et cetera, after those are set, I think the superintendent should take the ball and run with it.
Thank you. Also from District 2, Mr. James Chavis, role of the responsibilities of the board versus the superintendent.
I basically agree with previous candidates have said. I do feel that the board can be looked upon as facilitators in terms of they have constituency that they represent. They must bring their interests of their constituency to the table to be discussed and to be acted upon. The superintendent certainly is involved in the day-to-day operation. The board does set policies, and if the policies are basically being violated, it is the board's duty and responsibility to bring that to the superintendent's attention. So my main thing is the use of federal funds to help students in poverty, and the financial aspect of that lies with the board. The board is really the determining factor as far as how these monies are spent, local, federal, and state. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question. Board's role and responsibilities versus those of the superintendent. From District 3, Mr. Elroy Broussard.
Thank you. I think the responsibility of the board is to make policies, budgetary matters, and the role of the superintendent is to carry those policies out. We have got to determine who made the decisions as far as the day-to-day operation. Is it the board or the superintendent? Because as of late, we've been fighting for leadership. But the policy of the board is to make the policy, the budgetary matters, to make sure that our school system is running within budget, following all policy and procedures. And the matter of the superintendent is to make sure that those are carried out to best of its perfection.
Thank you. And also from District 3, Mr. Shelton Cobb. Same question, role and responsibilities of the board versus those of the superintendent.
Well, I definitely feel that the board is the policymaking entity for the school system in Lafayette or any other parish. And as such, they should make policies that are beneficial to the student bodies and the people who are working within the system. As the administrative head, I think the superintendent has to make the day-to-day decisions that are needed in order to keep the system running based on policies that are either approved or dictated through the board. We are, it seems, in a contradictory era based on some feelings, opinions, and so forth that different people have as to who is responsible for whom. The system that I came from allowed the chief administrative officer to make decisions on a day-to-day basis, and the board stood by making policies and reviewing. When we hired our superintendent, we claimed that we were looking for a person who was a visionary, who had leadership, and who would be a change agent. It seems that our system, at least some of the proponents of the system, are not in line with visionary change agent or a person who wants to bring our system to fruition, that is, to become an A system that we all desire. There's also some financial problems with that, which I'll discuss when we get to the budgetary area. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is in the category of school district leadership. As a board, your most important responsibility is in the selection and oversight of the superintendent, to whom responsibility for administration of the school system is delegated. Two-part question: how would you assess the performance of the current superintendent? And part B, what qualities do you look for in a superintendent? We'll begin with District 2, starting with Mr. Chavis.
I would assess the performance of the superintendent based on student achievement and district-wide school performance. The district that I'm vying for has all these schools. Apparently, something is missing. And I'm for putting programs in terms of closing the achievement gap among students of poverty by putting in different extended school year as far as remediation in math and reading, and also for grade advancement. So the superintendent's role is actually to put in programs that somewhat are scientifically researched and has proven in other situations that it will work. And as a result, we hope we can see improvement. As a school board member, I also have to do my homework and find out what's going on out there and bring it to the table as far as to be discussed and action taken as a result to improve the overall situation in my district, which again are all these schools. So I think there's a lot of work to be done on all sides, board-wise and superintendent. And apparently, some of these situations are not necessarily being done for whatever reasons, and some of the reasons I think many of you are aware of. So it's now to get back rolling, be more student-focused, be more teacher performance in terms of let's get this school system rolling. Thank you.
Thank you. Also from District 2, Mr. Angel. Same question. How would you assess the performance of the current superintendent, and what qualities do you look for in a superintendent?
Obviously, you would assess the superintendent based on several issues, one of which would be, as Mr. Chavis suggested, and that's the scores of the students, the performance of the schools in general, the attendance rate, the dropout rate, and the graduation rate, among others. We also have a formal evaluation form that we filled out a few months ago, evaluating the superintendent. The second part of the question, would you repeat the second part,
Certainly.
please?
what qualities do you look for in a superintendent? So how would you assess the current, and what qualities do you look for?
I think that a quality, some of the qualities a superintendent should possess, I think first and foremost is cooperation. If I could use one word, it would be cooperation. Cooperation with the board, not only the board, but cooperation with the teachers, cooperation with the bus drivers, cooperation with the cafeteria workers, the maintenance personnel, and everyone involved in our schools. We need someone who can, superintendent should be a facilitator. He should practice compromise, if you will, give and take, if you will, and have a dialogue, communication between the various entities, from the board and the other entities that I mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you. District 3, Mr. Cobb, same question. How would you assess the performance of the current superintendent, and what qualities do you look for in a superintendent?
Well, my assessment of the superintendent has been favorable, considering the conditions in which our current superintendent had to work. First, we looked for a visionary, a person who had a plan, someone who would direct the system based on data and not necessarily conjunction. So I demanded that the superintendent would have databases for all decisions that have been made for the current system. Through that, and through involvement of the community, we've come up with a 100% in, 100% out plan, which was adopted by our community and has been working, has worked to this point. The reports from the various departments indicate that we have achieved success in stemming the dropout rate, improving the overall performance of schools and students on an individual basis. So I feel that based on the plan that has been presented, that the superintendent should have been evaluated based on that plan. The current evaluation system that we have is inadequate, outdated, and you know, maybe some people might like it the way that it is, but I think it needs to be changed. I forgot the second part of your question.
What qualities do you look for in a superintendent?
Well, as I've mentioned before, we wanted somebody to think out of the box, and I think I'm still looking for the out-of-the-box thinking, and that we're not looking for people who will accept the norm, but challenge the norm and lead us to the place that we want to be, a school system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, also from District 3, same question, Mr. Broussard. How would you assess the performance of the current superintendent, and what qualities do you look for in a superintendent?
I can only assess the performance of superintendent from a District 3 standpoint. My schools in the area are failing schools, so leadership is very important. To get along with the teachers, the students, the parents, the community, to show some guidance, to show some compassion about what is needed to complete this 100 in and 100 out. The 100 in and 100 out, I think is great. It sounds good, but it's the same concept that my parent told me, go to school and finish. Your parent told you, go to school and finish. So the concept of 100 in and 100 out is something that every parent would want to achieve for their child. I look for leadership in a superintendent. Act 1 has given him the ability, give all superintendents the ability to make decisions. Those decisions you make tells us who you are. If the decision you make is positive, then we'll have a positive school system. If they are negative, then we'll have the fighting that's taking place now. So if we get into a conversation to find out what's best for the school system, not best for the individual, that would go along with and assess the leadership of a superintendent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From District 1, Ms. Morrison, same question. How would you assess the performance of the current superintendent? What qualities do you look for in a superintendent?
Okay, I would definitely assess by performance. I would look at our graduation rates, our achievement gaps, and how we're performing. I would also look at his ability to communicate and to involve all the stakeholders and listen to everyone that's involved and take their opinions in consideration. Because we have to understand our school system involves everyone. And it's very important that we have someone that communicates with everyone and look at their perspective. The evaluation, again, I will look at that performance of the superintendent and how he's, what he has planned. We talked about the 100 in, 100 out plan, which is a good plan, and I think there's a lot of good things in it. But like everything else, we can change it. And we know we need resources in order to move it forward. So we need to involve everyone to get their opinions about the plan, how we move forward, how we pay for it, different things like that. So that's how I would evaluate superintendent.
Thank you. And same question, also District 1, Mr. Gagnard. How would you assess the performance of the current superintendent, and what qualities do you look for in a superintendent?
The little assessment that I could make from outside looking in is that in the past 35, 40 years that I can remember, we've always dismissed our superintendents. He's the first one that I know of that had a plan, or has a plan, an in-detail plan. I don't know where it came from, how it got here, maybe from Mississippi. But in order for that plan to work, everyone must be involved in making it work. Teamwork. I would think that, yes, if I had to evaluate or assess what he's doing now, all these other little things are forms to fill out is so subjective. It's like asking the football coach that had stallion performers one year, and then the next nothing, now you're going to fire him because you lost 8 games in a row. So you have to think about the people or the materials you're working with also. Okay, so assessing anybody is pretty tough to do. All of this is subjective. Results are important. Results from where? Then we start looking for reasons or excuses. I would say he'd have to be like a head coach. He would have to have his people surrounding him. He would have to get input from all the districts, mainly that the school board members would get feed from their schools, principals, teachers especially. We always neglect the teachers, and that's where it's at. This is a simple problem. It's a simple fix. The teachers, the principals, right there. But you look at them now, and they're all down. They're all in the dumps. They don't have any encouragement to go any farther. But the superintendent, I find, like I say, the qualities should be a leader for everybody. We never talk about cafeteria workers. We never talk about bus drivers. We never talk about counselors. We never talk about Upper Lafayette, South Lafayette. It's always about money and finances. Okay, but overall, I think he has a plan, and apparently somewhere along the line, we're having problems with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Switching gears to fiscal and budgetary issues. Lafayette Parish School System began the fiscal year with a deficit of over $20 million, citing contributing factors such as increased retirement and health care contributions while the MFP from the state remained flat, increased investment associated with the implementation of the turnaround plan, and dollars following students to the new charter schools. So this is a two-part question. Given this year's budget shortfall, what would have been your approach for addressing the needs of Lafayette Parish School System? And do you believe additional revenues will be needed in the long term in order for Lafayette Parish School System to be a high-performing school district? And we'll begin with Mr. Elroy Broussard, District 3.
I think the measures taken by the school board to trim the budget was sufficient enough to do so. We've got to live within our means until we get funds that we live a little bit better than our means. So trimming the budget was a must, given the fact that we're losing money to the charter school. And I think if somewhere down the line, if we can regain the trust of the public for the additional funds. I think Lafayette is one of the better cities in the state of Louisiana or in the country that is maintaining steady economical growth. So the tax dollars are coming in. What we do with it from here on in is going to make a big difference as how we're going to get money for do something else later on down the road. But it was important to trim the budget, to see where we're at, to come back. We're going to come back and take another look. They're going to come back and take another look at it and probably put some more programs in there. But they took the necessary measure to maintain the budget for the fiscal year. We will need additional dollars because technology is passing us by. Student population is growing. Facilities are getting old. So we've got to find a way to get extra dollars into our school system to maintain the quality of education that we so desire. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Cobb. Given the budget shortfall, what would have been your approach for addressing the needs of the system? And since you're incumbent, did you agree with the approach that was taken? And then do you believe additional revenues will be needed in the long run?
Well, as everyone is aware, I voted against all budget cuts that have been proposed, and I supported the superintendent's budget, primarily because there are funds available in the budget that could be used, not one-time funds, but reoccurring funds that could be used to support the system until we address the shortfalls that we have. Our fiscal advisor, fiscal director, Mr. Guidry, has indicated to the system that we have a deficit because we are underfunded. When I came to the board, I discovered that there was a 19 mil tax that was allowed to expire by my predecessors, and we haven't addressed putting that 19 mil back into the budgetary process. What 19 mils would mean would be $30 million a year, and if we had $30 million a year for the last 6 years since I've been on the board, there would be no deficit. So the first thing I would say is that we need to put our heads to the grind and provide the services that we need. We approve the turnaround plan. We need to support it until it proves itself ineffective or otherwise, but to date it has been very effective in turning around the school system in more ways than one. To say that Lafayette needs more money in support of the school system, I agree unequivocally. We have a growing system. We have a growing parish. We're going to continue to grow because Lafayette is a good place to be. If we accept the challenge of growth and accept the responsibility of providing an education to our children, then we should not have a problem achieving the A district and also the growth that Lafayette deserves.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cobb. Coach Don, what would have been your approach for addressing the needs of the Lafayette Parish school system given the current shortfall? And do you believe that in the long run we will need additional resources?
We're going to definitely need new resources. I think there was an article that I read today concerning in the next 20 years that we have a big increase, maybe a double in population. It's a good thing because we have basically an all center and all place people that work and have getting jobs is getting better. Years ago, I was responsible for starting this Metro Bingo here over off the highway. I was the first caller, brought in millions for our kids. And for some reason or another, we seem to not think that that's for our people. It's for all of our students. It started for sports, wrestling, because we were capable and raised money. As a coach, people, there's always ways of raising money, all the time. Tournaments, hard work, ambition, pulling together. Money shouldn't be a problem, especially what we have around here with the taxes, the way we turn as a tax, and the oil field, and the corporations and the businesses. Money shouldn't be a problem. I think our budget, if we just passed with, what, $434 million, if I'm not mistaken? That's annual, that's a lot of money, but we might have to double that in the next, or say $600 million in the next couple of 3 years or so. There are ways of making money, but that shouldn't be the problem. Should not be at all.
Thank you. Ms. Morrison, same question.
When I served on Lafayette Parish City Parish Council, I had the opportunity to work with a large budget. And the way we did it was we took line item by line item and each department, and it was televised, public, so the public could see exactly what we were spending on what. And I thought that was a good way to get the community involved. And I think I would like to see us do that on the school board, as well as midway. We can do it again and have it publicized so we could see what we're doing before the end of the year and look at maybe ways we could save money and spend it more wisely. Look at budgetary items like capital outlay and things like that. So again, I think that the community, having the community on board, knowing what we're doing, how we're spending it, the money, gaining their trust, because I don't think, yes, we're going to need more money, but we're going to need the community support. And we're going to need to be open with them on what our spending and show them that we're spending our money wisely, because we have to earn their trust. The community, our school system, it's for us. We have to feel ownership of it and want to move it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving over to District 2, we'll begin with Mr. Angel. As you are an incumbent, I'll have a slight twist to the question. Did you fully support the approach that was utilized to address our current budget shortfall? And do you believe in the long run that we will need additional resources?
Yes, ma'am. The budget that the 2/3 of the board agreed on recently, which the superintendent refused to implement, that budget was one of the budgets submitted by the superintendent. We asked him to submit several budgets, and he submitted one that was zero. In other words, only monies taken in would be expended. We took that budget and added about $7 million to it. So it initially was one of the superintendent's budget that he proposed to us, and we increased it by 6.8 or $7 million, and that's the one that we adopted. And I shall always stand firm in saying that, like every single one of us in this room, none of us can live above our means. None of us can live above our means. And I shall address taxpayers' money in the same manner. I'm not going to vote to live above our means. I am for additional monies. There's no question that we will need additional monies. But it goes back to what I said earlier. You certainly won't get additional monies under the conditions that currently exist. We need harmony among all of the school board members, the teachers, the counselors, the principals, and the superintendent. But until and unless that kind of harmony and togetherness takes place, where everybody is on the same page and everybody trusts everybody, up until that time, I don't think I would not vote for additional monies.
Thank you. Mr. Chavis, given this year's budget shortfall, what would have been your approach for addressing the needs of our school system, and do you believe additional revenues will be needed in order for Lafayette Parish School System to become a high-performing school district?
As indicated earlier.
Please speak into the mic, Mr. Chavis. Thank you.
As indicated earlier by one of the panelists, that the present school budget is right at $500 million. A lot of it is federal dollars. The public, in my opinion, will not support any additional monies unless the board, superintendent, and everybody involved can prove we can make things better. The schools in my district are, again, D schools. If my memory serves me correctly, there was one school was, I think, a C school, and it went down to a D school, and I think it was under this present superintendent's watch. I may be wrong. But the issue is that I do feel with the federal dollars that we are getting, closing the achievement gap of students in poverty in all of our schools by putting in programs, extended school year, programs before, during, and after school tutoring to bring the scores up, these performing schools. If the public sees that we're doing and spending wisely and making good decisions as far as the programs that we are bringing in to close that achievement gap, scores rise as far as student achievement, school performance, I think they would support an additional tax for the reasons. But until, personally, I'm convinced that there are wise decisions being made with the present dollars that we do have I would not be in support of going to the public for additional funds.
Thank you. Let's talk about facilities. It is no secret that within Lafayette Parish, we have our fair share of issues with our school system facilities. The average Lafayette Parish school building is more than 47 years old, which significantly exceeds the national average. With LPSS facing overcrowding at some schools, aging facilities at others, and technology upgrade needs at most, how would you propose addressing these critical facilities needs? And we'll begin with Mary Morrison, District 1.
Okay, I would look at the capital request and see which schools we're planning to build, the need for it, look for, again, support, maybe looking at a community foundation that will support school repairs, look at companies that may perhaps adopt a school to maintain our schools. So I would definitely look into the community for that support, because we all know we don't have the money to repair all the schools. So again, we would need the community support on that. So I think that's where we would get our funding from, just asking for the community support through companies adopting a school and help it out in that way, or doing a, opening a foundation that we can involve others in to make that happen.
Thank you. Same question, Coach Don Gagnard. How would you propose addressing these critical facilities needs?
Well, number one is that they have to be maintained. I passed by a school a week or so ago, and 2 gallons of paint would have been miracles. Grass tall, chains falling down. The building had mold and mildew on it. Maybe for $50 total of equipment, the school could have been improved tremendously. You know, so we have to maintain them first. You can't build them and not keep them up. Yes, they are in bad shape. They need repair. You'd have to have some kind of evaluation committee, and to go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Which one is the worst? Which one needs most attention? Can it be repaired? If not, let's go to the next step. Maybe do department by department until we can catch up. I know Lafayette High School has a rough school. It's been there forever, and there's several others in our zone in District 1, the elementary school. So, but we have to maintain them. They have to be repaired. And some kind of, I know it's in the budget, but something to the fact that maybe a certain percentage per year goes into the building or the maintaining or the repairing of our facilities. We can't wait 40 years and decide, oh, we need a new building.
Thank you. Moving over to District 2, Mr. Chavis, same question. How would you propose addressing the critical facilities needs that we face?
In my district, with the exception of Cancro Heights, in terms of being one of the older schools to my memory, as far as my memory is concerned, something needs to be done as far as upgrading that facility. There are a lot of Butler buildings over there. If the community would support it, I would push for a new plant for Cancro Heights. I think the time has come for those boys and girls in that area to have a facility that is upgraded and it's, as one would say, up to date in technology and everything that goes along with it in terms of them becoming a successful students and a successful school as a result. Again, you know, I do have issues with current spending. I think presently the board did not deny the superintendent's right to upgrade the schools. Yes, there's growth in Lafayette Parish in other areas, and that needs to be addressed. Some of it is being addressed as we speak, but there are certainly additional growing on that in other areas of the parish. On the area of District 2, there is a growth that is happening in the correct form area, and I have a feeling that that's going to really boom. Buffalo Wild Wings is on the scene, so once a company like Buffalo Wild Wings come up, others will follow. So that's going to be a growth. But again, the public is waiting What are you going to do with what you have? I'm an old country boy. You make do and you do more with less. And the idea is that it's tightening up the belt. You watch these salaries, so you don't spend more money on salaries than you do for people at the central office than you do for people in the field.
Thank you, Mr. Chavis. Same question, Mr. Angel. How would you propose addressing these critical facilities needs in Lafayette Parish?
Whereas I am adamantly opposed to spending money, ongoing money on ongoing expenses with money that we have in the bank, savings, rainy day funds, whatever you want to call them, I would expend somewhere in the neighborhood of $66 million. I would be in favor of expending those monies to improve and to increase facilities, schools in our parish. Those kinds of expenses are one-time expenses. Now, I understand that would be maintenance expenses, et cetera, but I would not be opposed to spending money on one-time capital expenditures such as schools to increase the capacity and build newer schools. And the need is there on both sides of the parish. The need is there on the south side, and the need is there on the north side. So there's no question about that. But also, when I was mayor, we were able to pass a 1-cent sales tax in Karen Crow, and the way we passed it was we showed it was dedicated, and that today those monies can only go toward the dedicated entities that we dedicated them to, capital outlay, recreation, and police and fire. I would not be opposed to a tax of that nature under the condition that it would be dedicated strictly toward facilities, not ongoing expenses such as salaries and other things like that. We'd have to make do with those with the tax money we have coming in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Angel. District 3, Mr. Cobb, how would you propose addressing the critical facilities needs?
Well, there have been proposals to address the average age of our facilities in Lafayette, somewhere in the mid-40s years old. The school I graduated from is still in existence, and there hasn't been much change. But addressing the needs for new facilities has been a question that the board has addressed on many occasions. On my first rip at it was when there was a $1 billion proposal put before the voters by my previous colleagues that was defeated 71% by the voters in Lafayette. So apparently that proposal wasn't as effective as they thought it might have been. There have been proposals that have been forwarded to the board from various committees that have worked on facilities and so forth, but the current board has refused to allow the staff to present this as proposals to voters because it has to be done by resolution. So first of all, we have to address the needs that we have based on population, and Lafayette is still growing, so the longer we wait, the further back we'll get. The other thing is that we have to systematically address our problems in terms of how we're going to look at facilities. There's a word that's very seldomly used, is that we have facilities that are jam-packed in Lafayette and others that are one-half filled. So if we look at shifting populations from one area to the other, it might be a solution to the problem of finding space that we sorely need without incurring any other costs. But as a board member, I see it as my responsibility to respond to the community and address their needs.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb. Mr. Broussard, finally, last but not least for this question, how would you propose addressing the critical facilities needs in Lafayette Parish?
It was very important to trim the budget in order to see all the things that is needed versus the thing that we wanted to do. Last year, I was part of a committee that I think we spent 9-10 months, and every school had a wish list. And every school in the parish had a wish list, from a catwalk to addition to the school, and as of late, we could not fill any of them. We need to sit down with administrators, teachers, superintendent, school board members, community, people in the community, and see what we want this parish to look like in 5, 10 years. Put together a plan that is going to take us beyond the next century. The facility we have now is still, like Mr. Cobb said, that we graduated from the same high school, and it's quite some years old and need to be worked. Not much was done. Every school in the parish needs some work done to it. We perhaps need to corral the community to do what we can as community-based. Once we get the schools involved in the school board, decision of the school board, and the parents involved in the school, perhaps the parents might take an interest in some of the schools that are so badly needed. But we've got to put our best foot forward, trying to get the community involved and show the community that we are as one, as far as the school board members, the superintendent, everybody involved, we're all designed for the same thing.
Thank you. Let's turn next to the topic of school, student, and district performance and accountability. According to data that are available from the Louisiana Department of Education, there exists a tangible achievement gap in Lafayette Parish between free and reduced lunch students and those who are paid lunch students, and between minority students and non-minority students. So the question, do you hold as a core belief that all children have the potential to perform at grade level regardless of their background, with the exception of students with severe learning disabilities? We'll begin in District 2 with Mr. Angel.
I absolutely, 100% positively agree that all children can learn. As a matter of fact, it's on my push card. Not only can all children learn, all children do learn. It's our business to help them learn, to give them the tools, excuse me, with which to be successful. Hopefully to go on and earn a higher education and or in the jobs that they seek. So the answer to that is absolutely, I'm in total agreement of that. I also agree that we should lower the pupil-teacher ratio. I also agree that we should increase perhaps home visits and things of this nature for these students who are at a disadvantage. I think we need to give them every advantage that we possibly can, whether it's a home visit, whether it's sending them to medical care, or whether it's having fewer students in the class, or whether it's tutoring the students, between classes or after school or on Saturdays. Those are the kinds of things that we are doing and can do, and perhaps we should do more to help to decrease that achievement gap, because that also is on my card. I'd like to decrease the achievement gap. I'd like to decrease the dropout rate, and I would like to increase the attendance rate as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Also in District 2, Mr. Chavis, same question. Do you hold as a core belief that all children have the potential to perform at grade level, regardless of their background, with the exception of students with severe learning disabilities?
My main mission is to raise that particular idea. All children can learn. All parents want their children to be successful. I come from a family, poor, sharecropper son. Mother and father had second, third grade education, but they stress faith in God, work hard, respect yourself and others, don't give up. As a result, all 6 of my brothers and sisters finished high school. 4 out of 6, including myself, have college degrees. I want that for all families. Now, that didn't happen in all of my relatives because certain support systems were not in place. My thing is that with the use of federal dollars, Title I, II, III, IV, etc., is made to close that support gap and services that many children of poverty, I don't like to play the race card here. Poverty exists in all races, so let's put it all children of poverty in all schools. That's as generally as I can get it. Extended school day, extended school year. We need to keep these schools open year-round. It makes no sense for these schools to be idle when children are in need. We need to get on this bandwagon and start making things work for those students in poverty. We bring the lower, closer achievement gap, the top will rise. And thus far, I think there are those in positions who are negligent in terms of making sure that that money needs to be put where it was intended. There are some schools who are very transparent as far as the use of their federal dollars. Things need to change here in Lafayette Parish, and I'm the one, if given a chance, will do it.
Thank you. Now, District 3, Mr. Broussard, same question. Do you hold as a core belief that all children have the potential to perform at grade level regardless of their background, with the exception of students with severe learning disabilities?
That question has been asked the last 10, 15, 20 years. I'm still trying to grasp as to how did that come about. You know, I've got to say I come from a segregated educational system. We didn't have that gap. We all fine students in the schools that we attend. We went from a teacher to an instructor, and one of the saying that I hold in my memory, what the teacher said to some of the students: if you cannot learn the way I teach, I will teach you to learn. We have put that aside. We have become instructors instead of teachers. We're teaching the children instead of teaching the child. Every good teacher knows their students. When you have got to be at a certain place in the book in a certain time of the month or the year, you do not include the whole class. You forget some students. That one or two students may need 5 or 10 minutes longer, but that teacher cannot stop to give them that 5 or 10 minutes because they have to be at a certain place to become an instructor. If you can't grasp by that time, you fall by the wayside. We have got, so far the last 10, 15 years, with the school of choice, minority to majority, we have shifted all over the place. We've got buses coming from the other side of Count Crow to bring a child on the other side of Scott because the school of choice for whatever reason. And we are forgetting the inner city schools. Well, I've got a school next door to my house that none of the kids go to. They've got to catch a bus and go 10, 15 miles down the road. So we've got to involve our community in the schools, but we can't do that because the bus travels all over the city of Lafayette and bring the kids to District 3 all over the place. So we got this achievement gap by our own selection. So we need to, that's it. But to answer your question, yes, every child can achieve whatever every other child can achieve.
Thank you. Also, District 3, Mr. Cobb, same question. Do you hold as a core belief that all children have the potential to perform at grade level regardless of their background?
I do. You know, this achievement gap business is one of the things that's being addressed by the turnaround plan that so many of our citizens worked on and decided that if we can create a system where everybody is treated equally, given the resources and the assistance that they need, that their performance can be improved. We want to live by that creed, but it seems that we don't want to pay to achieve that. Lafayette is on the cuspid of being a great city. Our educational system is what's holding it back. Personalities have gotten into the dream that all kids can achieve, and we've lost our way. We put our personal vendettas, personal feelings in front of the needs of the students, and meanwhile, you know, Rome is burning. Funding is an absolute necessity in order to achieve this, and the way that we achieve it is by going to you, the people in the community, and asking you for your support for a system that doesn't make empty promises, but shows you through data and information that these goals can be achieved. I'm not one that says that, yeah, we can do this. No, I want to know that we can do it, how, and what the results will be. Thank you.
Thank you. Turning now to District 1, Mr. Gagnard, same question. Do you believe all children have the potential to perform at grade level?
Yes, sir, I do. As a coach, you better believe that way. You're going to be making chicken salad with chicken, and if not, then they want to fire you. They park their old U-Haul in front of your yard and say you can go. The sad stories, the bad stories, we're all elderly people. I remember having a Sears catalog. You wouldn't order anything, people. I remember the food stamps, the IOUs. I remember it all. I remember the poverty. What is poverty? We ate. We weren't cold. We weren't hot. We studied. I was the only one out of my family, out of 5 children, even went to high school. So I valued education. I knew that was the window. That was the door. Same token here. You get sports, coaches. You never hear all of this negative stuff. You got 80 kids out there, 11 playing at one time. You don't hear all that malarkey. Oh, where's my job? They understand the pecking order. They know the hard work. You can get them young and you can build them sometimes, but if he runs a 5.4 40, he ain't gonna run no 4.2. I don't care how hard you coach him. Labeling kids not good. This thing came about with this ADHD. The guy just died. Google that. Look it up. Just died 2 or 3 months ago. No such thing as ADHD, pardon the expression. It's all subjective again. There's no blood samples you can take. Oh, he got blah, 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 blah. He's got blah, blah, blah. We put a label on him. We put a label on him, and there we go. Oh, I can't do that because. I can't do that because. That's all they hear. When they're coming up, that's all they hear. We don't have the money. What is poverty? There's nobody around here in poverty. Poverty consists of a salary before the entitlements. What they're using is they're using just the figures before the entitlements. Everyone over here, there's no such thing as, but if you got heat, you got cold, you got light, and your belly's full, you should have even more ambition to get out of that. And I've seen a lot of athletes and students do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Morrison, also District 1, same question. Do you believe all children have the potential to perform at grade level?
Absolutely. The kids today are very smart if they are prepared. You know, I'm an advocate of early childhood. I think that if we start them off and get them prepared right, they're going to really excel in school. So I think we have to look at, that's one of the items in the turnaround plan that I really strongly support because I think it's going to make a lot of difference in years to come. So absolutely, we have to look at how we can assist them once they're in school, where we could recognize if they need any extra help. The pre-screenings are great, looking for health and wellness to see if we could identify any problems they're having early on. But actually tutoring, get more after-school tutoring, or just some assistance for the kids that are having some problems. And I think if we do more of that, I think we're going to be successful. So preparing them early on, because I really believe that they can learn. They're really smart. At 2 years old, their kids today are holding a conversation with an adult. So our kids can learn, but they just have to be prepared early on. Thank you.
Thank you. For the same question, let's return now to District 2, Mr. Simon Mahan. The topic is student, school, and district performance and accountability. We've been discussing the achievement gap, particularly between children of poverty and those not, and between minority and non-minority students. So the question is, do you hold as a core belief that all children have the potential to perform at grade level regardless of their background, with the exception of students with severe learning disabilities?
Sure, thank you. That's a great question, but the fundamental part of the question, before I get to it, again, my name's Simon Mahan, and my apologies for being delayed. The fundamental basis of this question is why don't students achieve at grade level? I fundamentally believe that students can achieve at grade level, and the question is why can't they? If a student goes to a school and they feel that their health or that their safety is threatened, they're not going to learn. If they go to a school that doesn't have clean facilities, nice windows, or comfortable heating and air conditioning, they're not going to learn well. If that student goes to school hungry, they're not going to learn well. So these are fundamental problems that our community faces, and we need to figure out a way to turn that around and try and fix that. Some ways to improve that are by lowering class sizes, making teachers and resources more available to these students, and extending instruction time. And so these are some of the ways that the experts have agreed that we can start to turn these things around. But let's face it, we're at a crisis, particularly on the north side of this parish. We've got about 7 out of 8 schools that predominantly serve my district, District 2, that are D-level schools. And we've got to do better. We have a moral responsibility to do better, to recognize that it's a problem. We have the answers, and we just need to fess up to it and start to work for the betterment of our children. Thank you.
Thank you. We now turn to the topic of charter schools and privatization. With the continued expansion of charter schools across the state and here locally in Lafayette Parish, the question is, what is your view of the role of charter schools in public education and the presence of charter schools here in Lafayette Parish? We'll begin with District 3, Mr. Cobb.
Excuse me. At the time charters were considered for Lafayette, we were faced with enrollment, overcrowdedness, and looking toward the future, we probably would have had to increase the number of portable buildings to our facilities in order to serve the students that we have. I voted against charter schools. My personal belief is that charters are private use of public funds. There are laws that have been established to say otherwise, so I'm a law-abiding citizen, so I can live with charters as long as they can live up to the mantle that the public school systems live up to, and they face the same consequence that any public school system faces. As long as their performance can be upbeat, I think they'll have the support of the people who support them, just as our schools will have the support of the people of Lafayette if we continue to show improvement. Whether or not charter schools are going to be successful in Louisiana, in my estimation, is probably too early to say. I don't wish them failure because they're dealing with some of our most precious possessions that are our children. And in a conversation I had just a few days ago, charter schools have the involvement of parents, and we don't seem to get that same involvement in public schools. So maybe there are some things that we can benefit from by looking at what they do as opposed to what we do.
Thank you. Also, District 3, Mr. Broussard, same question. What is your view of the role of charter schools in public education and the presence of charter schools in Lafayette Parish?
My understanding of charter school is that because we've had a failing school system, with 40% of the schools in the parish failing, I would think that the charter school would have 40% of the students that are failing. But they're in our, I got 2 of them in my, 1 of them in my district, and they don't offer free and reduced lunch. Are they there for public funds for a private institute? Are they there to bring the grade level up for the challenged educational children? Is there a select group of students that's going there? How would the charter school benefit the need of better education for what they call a free and reduced lunch, because they don't offer free and reduced lunch? I wish them well in their education, wish them the best, I wish they're successful. But when you've got a select group of children or students in any school, then you'll do well. We need schools, we need administrators, we need teachers to work with all the students in the parish of Lafayette. If the charter schools had the key to success, we could have saved millions of dollars. We would have given them the key to J.W. Falk. If they're proficient in their profession and they needed a group of kids from all walks of life, from age 7 to 12, we would have given them the key to a newly renovated school, N.P. Moss Prep. If you are the best at what you do, show me by educating the student that needs you most. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Morrison, District 1, same question. Your view of the role of charter schools in public education and the presence of charters in Lafayette Parish.
Okay, for many years, my idea, what I heard about charter schools were they were for high-risk, low-performing students. And now we are using our charter schools for an overflow. With that said, I do feel that we shouldn't lose focus of our Lafayette Parish school system. We still need to close our achievement gap, focus on our facilities, and work with the charter schools, because we all want one thing. We want our kids to be successful, and whatever it takes for them to be successful. However, we still need to recognize that we do have our school system, work with the charter schools, and look for ways that we can work together so that we can be successful.
Thank you. Also, District 1, Mr. Gagnard, same question. Your view of the role of charters in public education and the presence of charters in Lafayette Parish.
Number one, I don't seem to think or feel that our public, or our people, students, parents, whoever's involved, really know what a charter school is. You can go door to door and ask them what a charter school is, and we don't know. We're not informed in this parish or whatever. We're not informed about any of that. We're not informed about Common Core. We're not informed about charter schools. We just kind of think and we hear and we're saying, they said, he said, they said. The charter schools are kind of like what Mr. Broussard said. It seems to be that we're slowly pulling away from our public schools. They seem to think that charter schools will have to respond or answer to the prerequisites of the federal government. For example, you have too many kids failing, so you need to water it down. What happens to our good kids? What happens to 85% of our population that are good kids? What's happening to them? They're slowly filtering into charter schools. There's no tuition. There is a selective way. There is a test or an exam. They do have to qualify to get into there. So you're looking at a slow move away from the public schools into a semi-private charter school. I asked a question to one of the big organizations that endorses our candidates, that chooses one and decides they're going to push that. They said the only difference from a charter school and a public school was the principal. That the principal didn't have to answer to whoever. Yes, we're losing our public schools till we stop this thing of we're looking for a big circle of poverty for this and for that, and no discipline in the schools. We lost 150 teachers last year. No discipline. You send them to the office, they come back laughing. The teacher's shot. They can't go anymore. They're bailing out. Now we're asking for, oh, well, can we get people that are not educators to teach? Come on now. Charter schools are pulling away. We need to beef it up. Public schools need to be beefed up. Back your teachers. Back your teachers and your principals. That's where it's at, not on the other end. Thank you.
Thank you. Now from District 2, Mr. Chavis, your view of the role of charter schools in public education and the presence of charters in Lafayette Parish.
I have openly spoken out against charter schools. Most statistics says that they are no better than most public schools. However, I did invite myself to go to open house at Caden Middle, and I was invited at open house at Campo Middle. And I see on the faces of parents of children in poverty, sadness. They're looking for hope. At one school, the principal said, well, last year we were D minus, this year we are D. Everybody clapped, but the parents. Now, if charter schools can close the achievement gap for students in poverty by putting forth programs that work, I'm for it, okay? But at the same time, my goal is to make all schools in Lafayette Parish good schools or better schools. Give them that choice. I'm hearing some mixed emotions in terms of what's going on. First of all, the parents who choose to go at parents of children in poverty, who send their children over at the particular charter school, I think Willow Academy, don't have transportation, so it's a hardship on them. Some of them, as a result, are giving up. They're going back to the public schools. Now, I took it upon myself, just out of curiosity, to visit the school plants, the one in Curette and the one in Sugar Pond meal. When you compare those facilities in those particular areas, and you look at Willow Academy, which was once an Albertson, if this is the way you're going to treat people of poverty, then I'm not for it. Because the issue is that it is no level playing field. The poor has no option in terms of quality education. It has been.
Thank you. Mr. Mahan, same question. Your view of the role of charter schools in public education and the presence of charters in Lafayette Parish.
Thank you. Just a brief history from what I understand of how our charter schools came to be here. From my point of view, the charter schools in Lafayette were inevitable. The school board voted against the charter schools, and folks in Baton Rouge decided that it would be better for the charter schools to exist here, regardless of what the school board was going to say. So I think regardless of what folks believe, the charter schools are here. So the question is, how do we respond? We've got about 1,000 kids that have enrolled for Willow Academy and Lafayette Renaissance Academy that may predominantly serve folks from District 2, from my district. And so we need to figure out why those people left. Why did those students and their parents, which have a right to decide the fate of their children, why did they decide to leave? And what can we do to try and fix that? And in order to fix that, I think we need to look at three things. The first thing we need to look at is community involvement. If we involve the parents more so, or provide more opportunities for engagement for the parents, that will build loyalty and our parents will want to stay. The second thing we need to do is we need to highlight the positive, focus on the positives that exist within our school system and publicize it to show folks that we're not all this petty politics that you read in the newspaper about the school board. We are more than that. And finally, we need to advocate for our schools, and that's what the school board needs to do. We need to advocate for things like the French immersion program at Evangeline, or the legal academy at Northside, or the IT academy at Carencrow. These are really great things that we have in our public schools that you can't get anywhere else. And that's what the school board needs to focus on, is promoting the positive.
Thank you. Mr. Angel, also District 2, same question. Your view of the role of charter schools in public education and the presence of charters in Lafayette.
Yes. On the school board side, Mr. Cobb and I voted on the same side. We both voted against charter schools. And as such, I'm opposed to charter schools. Charter schools have a very subtle way of choosing their students, one of which, I think someone mentioned it, one of which is very simple. If you want to come to my school, I want to have a meeting with both you and both your parents. Public schools must take every single child that comes, and I think it's fair. I think we owe them that. So while I am opposed to charter schools, I'm certainly not opposed to our children learning in charter schools. I'm also opposed to the fact that public tax money goes to for-profit people, people in New Jersey and Florida, wherever they are. They make a profit with our tax dollar. And I must say that Lafayette Parish was way ahead of its time several years ago. We had a charter school in Lafayette Parish. Some of you may not realize that. It was a public charter school. 100% of all of the monies that the taxpayer sent to that school stayed at that school. Nobody made a profit. That school graduated 1,000 of our students. Over 1,000 of our students graduated from Lafayette Charter High School. And those students, most of them would not have graduated had it not been for the Lafayette Charter Schools. Most of them would not have graduated. And I really am worried about what happened to those kids, because the charter school we had was scuttled. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Angel. We're going to switch gears to some strategic issues. One of the most important responsibilities of the school board is to work with the administration on the development of short and long-range strategic plans for our school system. The plan most recently adopted by the current board is the 100% in, 100% out turnaround plan. The question is, what is your vision for public education in Lafayette Parish, and what factors are necessary to achieve that vision? And please work into your response. Do you fully support the 100% in, 100% out turnaround plan? And we'll begin this question with Mr. Simon Mahan in District 2.
Thank you. First and foremost, I do support the turnaround plan. If you take the time to read the 141-page document that was developed by over 100 stakeholders from across the parish, including parents, teachers, and other experts involved in improving the education of our children, you'll find that there's not a lot in the plan that you could disagree with. First and foremost, the plan focuses early on for early childhood education. And that's one of the very best places where you can spend your taxpayer dollars. Some experts suggest that for every dollar that you spend on early childhood education, you reap $7 in reward. That is a phenomenal return on investment for your taxpayer dollars. In part, the reason why is because students that learn early on don't have to repeat grades. They graduate on time. They become productive members of society. They don't turn to crime. These are important factors that not only impact our community, but the lives of these children. So, as one of the components, one of the very fundamental components of the turnaround plan, early childhood education is important. There's plenty of other good stuff in the turnaround plan: playgrounds for schools, better facilities, improved heating and air conditioning, more efficiency, more counselors. The problem is if we don't prioritize these things and instead we decide to pick apart the budget in any fashion that we so choose, the children suffer, and that has got to stop. There's other things in the turnaround plan that some folks probably support, including technology such as e-readers. That is in the turnaround plan, and other things like better community and parent involvement. These are components within the turnaround plan that if you haven't had the time to read it, I strongly encourage you to do so. But if not, trust that your school board will.
Thank you, Simon. Mr. Chavis, what is your vision for public education in Lafayette Parish? What factors are necessary to achieve that vision? And do you support the 100% in, 100% out turnaround plan?
My vision is to have adequate, excellent educational opportunity for all students, especially for all students in all schools in poverty. By having federal funded programs, extended school year, extended school day, additional counseling service, etc., to close this achievement gap. The President, I was asked, what do you think about the turnaround plan 100%? I said it's more of a roundabout plan. With the present situation between the board and the now superintendent, it's a roundabout hiring a man who did not have the qualifications. And it's around about this and around about that, and the welfare of the children have been neglected. What has he done? I'm not criticizing the man, I'm talking about the plan. What has the present superintendent implemented that's working? Okay, Moss Prep, what's working over there? I heard that they're cursing out the officers and teachers and whatever else. I heard word of mouth. He implemented some teenage program at Northside, which was already held at another plant. Spent additional dollars, and I heard there may be at most 15 young mothers who are participating in that program. What else has he done?
Thank you, Mr. Chavis. Mr. Angel, same question. What is your vision for Lafayette Parish public education? What factors are necessary to achieve that vision? And do you fully support the 100% in, 100% out turnaround plan?
On the first part of the question, I think it's very important that we give our teachers proper facilities, the proper literature, proper environment to foster learning. You know, one thing that I keep remembering, one teacher once told me, actually it wasn't a teacher, the superintendent, Alan Meyer. Some of you may have remembered him if you're old enough. He said, you know, we don't teach math, we don't teach English, we don't teach geography, we teach kids. So we need to do everything that we can so that our teachers can teach our kids. A couple of, do I support 100% in, 100% out? Yes, I do. I agree with Mr. Broussard here. That was absolutely a no-brainer when I was a kid. High school was absolutely out. Not finishing high school was out of the question. That was just a no-brainer. And college was strongly encouraged. And I was fortunate enough to attend. My kids all graduated. They also finished college. But since the turnaround plan has been in effect, the dropout rate went from 4.9 to 5.7, so it increased a little bit. Attendance decreased from 95.2 to 94.8, and the district performance went from 97.6 to 90.5. The state, by the way, is 91. So I am for the turnaround plan. I'm for more of the things in the turnaround plan that work and less for the things in the turnaround plan that aren't working. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gagnard, what is your vision for public education in Lafayette Parish? What factors are necessary to achieving that vision? And do you fully support the 100% in, 100% out turnaround plan?
Well, if some of your teachers are watching this tonight, boy, they're really turning around themselves if they're saying we need more time and keep the kids in class all the time and keep them on the weekends and the holidays. And how far can you go? How much more practice can you get? And Lord knows I was one of those. I was an advocate of practice. It's all flipped upside down. We keep speaking it's the problems in the family. Problems in the family, yet we're trying to get programs dissolved to where, or included where we start them at 3 years old. So what are we telling these people? You can't take care of your children. We're going to teach them. You're not good enough to take care of yours. We're going to show them. We're throwing them in nurseries. We throw them any kind of plan we can to get away from our children. We're not learning any morals, any goals, any objectives. We're learning theirs. Oh, your child was good today out of 60. They will have bite marks all over them, learn how to cuss, whatever else they do, and they're not learning theirs. So we're constantly pushing. Oh, there's no family. There's no family. There's no, yet we're pushing them away. We're putting them in the schools, what, a year old now? What can we go, 6 weeks when they go off the bus? I don't know. That's not the answer. The answer is discipline. Discipline in the classrooms. Discipline in teaching and let the teachers teach. You have policies, you have goals, you have objectives. All this other stuff, people, it's just a big circle. I keep telling you that. We need to grab our classrooms back. Get out of that courtroom. Put it in the classroom. That's where it's at. We worried 2 years about a custodian here. 2 years we fought about a custodian. Schools are falling down. Teachers are fighting each other. It's chaos. It's embarrassing to say you're in Lafayette Parish, but we can get it up, and we will get it up. You can always do that. Take a poor team, work hard, ambition, pull together, everybody together, and stop the excuses. Stop looking for the excuses. Put them to work, make them study. No, go home, eat a sandwich, do your homework, and focus. Religion and families first, education second, then football, basketball, track, wrestling, whatever it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gagnard. Ms. Morrison?
Okay, my vision for Lafayette Parish School System is to have open communication between the board, administration, so we can see our success as well as our failures. Second, we must engage all of our community in conversations of where they would like to see our school system. We must bring professionalism to the board so that we can feel, our public could feel free to address issues openly. As it pertains to the turnaround plan is a good plan. I personally support early childhood. It is very important to the success of closing the achievement gap and also our dropout rate. However, with the turnaround plan, we need funding. As a community, we need to look at what parts of the turnaround plan is most important to move forward and to have that community input. There are always major concerns in every plan, and it's up for discussion. We could tweak it, we could change it. Yes, it's written today, but it doesn't have to stay that way. So I think having community input on where we go from here, I think that would bring us to the success of our school system. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving over to District 3, Mr. Broussard, what is your vision for public education in Lafayette Parish, and what factors are necessary to achieve that vision, and do you support the turnaround plan?
My vision for Lafayette Parish School is for every school to have that grade, maybe not an A, B, C, but the schools in my district are D's and F's. Some years ago, I went to Truman Monastery to visit, and I seen a line of youngsters, I guess 4 years old, lined up, holding hands, walking quietly, going to lunch. I asked the principal, what happens? What happened from that day to when they start going to middle school and high school? How did we lose them? What did we do from that time to age 10, 12 years old to lose so many youngsters? We've got to find an answer as to what needs to be done to keep them focused. We need community involvement. We need parental support. We only can do that if the teachers have the tools necessary to do so. We have got to give the teachers the respect they deserve, the tools to teach the children, and the respect from the administration to do so. The 100 in, 100 out is an excellent plan. As I said before, that's what every parent, every grandparent, if you are a parent or ever was a parent, you would want that from your child. To implement that in the school system is great, but we cannot start trying to teach a youngster at 12, 13 years old when we should have started at 4. So start at the beginning, and the ending would be well-deserved. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cobb, what is your vision for public education in our parish, and what factors are necessary to achieve that vision, and do you support the turnaround plan?
Well, the turnaround plan is, is my primary reason for supporting the initiatives that are taking place right now in Lafayette. When I first was appointed to the board, I began to work for community involvement. It seems that Lafayette has a long line or a long list of reasons why they don't want to involve community people, community business people, and so forth in the education of our children. Well, the success of any city, any business, depends on the quality of employees that they receive, and those employees most often come from the educational system one way or the other, whether it's local or statewide or nationally. So I believe in the turnaround plan because it was developed by people like yourselves sitting in the audience who said that we want to see our kids prosper and we want to start them off early. You know, let's not give ourselves the bias about we don't want to take care of the kids until they get school age. Well, some of the kids, when they get school age, they're almost ready to go to reform school. So we need to address our children where their needs are most and to affect those children at the age that they are we are most able to affect them. So I believe in the turnaround plan, and some of the things that I think that is going to help Lafayette improve itself is providing health care for the kids, assessing their abilities through tests and whatever have you, providing medical services for them, and through community partnerships that we are building currently with our community leadership, and to continue those developments. Because every one of us, whether we have kids or not, are responsible, and the school system is responsible to you.
Thank you. We next turn to the topic of school system governance. And when you think about the roles and responsibilities of you as members of a school board, how do you plan to balance the needs of your particular district with those of the entire parish? We'll stay with District 3 and begin with Mr. Broussard.
I have to address that as a representative of District 3. We are so far behind in the needs that the things we need to make our schools successful. I cannot begin to say the tools that's necessary to do so, but we need to, as I said earlier, get the teachers involved, get the parents involved in the school system, and let the teachers believe or let them know that we respect their ability to teach and we give them the tools to do so. But community involvement is one of the basic keys that I want to implement as a school board representative. Because that's what we like in my community. Because of the movement we've got, all our kids going to different schools, it's so difficult to have something constructive. The kids come back to the neighborhood, and from 4 or 5 streets, they may go to 5 or 6, 7 different schools. It's not uncommon to have 4 children in the household and 4 of them go to different schools. To gather a group together to see what's necessary, what's needed in my community, to make sure that the schools in my community, and I've got to speak for District 3, so many other schools are doing well and some are not. But the first step I must take is to get a group together to see what's needed in our schools and get the things that are necessary to support our educational system in District 3.
Thank you. Mr. Cobb, same question, balancing the needs of your district with those of the entire parish.
Well, my feeling is that as a representative of District 3, I also represent all of the schools in the Lafayette Parish area. District 3 has fared well in terms of achievement. We had a failing school that got out of the failing category. We need to address the needs of all of our students, because many of our students that live in District 3 don't attend school in District 3. So therefore, my concern is for all of the schools. In my district, some of our students go to Scott. Some of them may even go to Doosan. I don't know, but I'm sure that they attend Scott. So to be as narrow as to say that I'm only going to care about my district is almost impossible to fathom, because all of our schools need to achieve. And as the old adage says, a rising tide floats all boats. So we need to make sure that all of our schools are high performing and that all of our kids receive the best possible education that we can provide, no matter what school they attend. Our community resources are varied, and there are many. There are many things that we can use in Lafayette to achieve this, and one of the things has been the community support that we've received from business and industry, from individuals like yourselves, and from groups like this group who's sponsoring this occasion tonight that have come to the assistance of the school system. We need to work with and challenge all of these groups to assist us and parents and teachers to make sure that our students are the best that they can be.
Thank you. Mr. Gagnard, same question, balancing the needs of your district with those of the entire parish.
Well, I guess I'll go back to the old coaching line about you each have a position. You have 9 districts. You take care of your district and you report back to the school board, and we all work together as a team. We might be able to help one district, help the other, not give, take, where we all have the same goal, and that's to be successful for the parish. I would definitely have meetings, town hall meetings with my teachers, or any kind of meetings with the teachers. Try not to keep them too long because they have families also. I would have a lot of, I have about 1 more year working, and then I'll be totally retired from the second job that I took after retiring from the school board, that I can give more attention. I don't want to run any school. I want to be there as a helper. What do you all need? What do you need to improve? Whatever. Through the teachers and the principals, and that would be how I would approach it. Then come back with my district or the district and try to mix and make one big team where the whole parish is successful, or we're approaching or attending or giving attention to the things that have problems. But we have a lot of good things too, a lot of positive things. We keep honing on the negatives, and we keep going in that big circle. It's not about money. It's not about all these fancy things. It's about the teacher, the classroom, the discipline, the policies, the principal, backing your superintendent, whoever's in charge, being loyal. But that's how I would approach it. I would have all of the input from my teachers and my principal, parents, and from there report, maybe have a vote or a say-so, committees or whatever else, and then report back to the board, and then maybe take some input from the board, either add or delete, whatever they would see fit to improve that particular district.
Thank you. Ms. Morrison, same question.
Definitely hold town hall meetings and encourage teachers, students, all employees, everyone involved, every stakeholder to see what their concerns are. I want to hear from you. Let me know how I could help. My schools in my district, Austin, Duso, and Westside, they're all C schools. I would like to see them become an A and B school. And just like the fellow board members, they want to work hard to bring their schools up to that level. So if we're all meeting with all of our constituents, with teachers, students, all the community members, and then coming back to the table and talking about what those concerns are, and we'll probably have the same concerns, and look at ways where we could move our school system forward and work together, collaborate, and understand it's just not a one-man game. We have to be in it all together, working together, listening to everyone's concern, because every stakeholder is important. But our most important stakeholders are students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, District 2, Mr. Mahan, same question. How would you balance the needs of your district versus those of the entire parish?
Thank you. I'm not going to be shy about it. I will be an advocate for District 2. I expect nothing less than all the other school board members that they should be advocates for their districts as well. We are there, put there in the elected position by the voters. We are meant to respond to the voters. That being said, I represent kind of a clean slate. I'm not originally from here, as many of you can probably tell. I don't have any skeletons in my closet. I don't have any ill will towards anyone. And I really hope that all the school board members have the same desire to raise the quality of all of our schools. The problem is if we all get into this mode of, well, I may be from the north side, but I'm going to advocate for everybody else, what ends up happening is the north side ends up suffering. If nobody is going to speak up for a particular section of the town that they live in or the parish that they live in, then that district is going to suffer. They're going to give, and not get what they need in order to succeed. So that's what I plan to do. I do plan to work and have good relationships with all the other school board members, but I'm here to be an advocate for the voters and the students of District 2.
Thank you. Mr. Chavis, same question.
Most of the schools in District 2 are D schools, or all of them. Many have at least 65 to 7% or higher free lunch students. I feel that schools with that percentage of free lunch should be automatically school-wide free lunch. Okay, those particular students are eligible for Title I federal dollars. I feel schools with 70% or higher free lunch students should be Title I school-wide schools. Now, there are students in poverty in all schools. Louisiana has approximately over 600,000 blacks in poverty, 400,000 whites in poverty, and I'm not sure about Hispanics and others. So, as a result, I would work along with other school board members to address the achievement gap of students in poverty, regardless if it's a A or B school district or a D or F, by implementing services. As I speak, I have taken it upon myself to contact, there was an issue that came up during the last board meeting with the change in policy, staffing as it applies to counselors. I raised the issue at that time that there are exceptions to staffing of counselors when it applies to schools with high population of free lunch students. It kind of like passed over the heads of certain people. I've taken upon myself to contact Ms. Beverly Bro and CC all board members in reference to this issue, that it may be in violation of the unitary status of Lafayette Parish Schools if they do not follow statutes. And from what I can determine at this point in time, there is a consistent violation in that area.
Thank you. Mr. Angel, same question.
I guess my answer will be a cross between that of Mr. Mahan and that of Mr. Cobb. I obviously represent District 2. I've lived there all of my life. I finished high school in District 2. All of my children finished high school in District 2. And it's a it's an area very near and dear to my heart. I do look at myself, however, as a part of a team of 9 of us. And I'm not going to play this game, well, oh, you got 3 phones in your gym, I want 3 phones in my gym. Or you got, a covered walk with the bus kids that dropped off, I want a covered walk with them. I would like to look at the parish as a whole, including our district, and fill the needs where the needs are needed most. I was able in some instances, for instance, in Karen Crow, to get an extra policeman. We needed help in Karen Crow Middle. The discipline was such that it was necessary. I worked with the chief of police, and we were able to secure one at a very good rate, much better than we have to pay for the other policemen from the city. There were projects that were needed at Northside. Worked with Timmy Chasson on that. I like to look at the district as a whole. All of our kids should be given all that we can give them in order for them to succeed. Keeping in mind that everything I'm saying is based on our ability to provide, which is based on the monies that we receive from you, the taxpayer. So working within the confines of the means that we have, I would like to see the district as a whole improve, including ours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Angel. We've come to the final question of the evening. The most important question facing the voters this fall is why they should cast their ballot for you. Please take this time as we close to tell the voters of Lafayette Parish why you should be elected to the Lafayette Parish School Board. And we'll begin with Ms. Morrison.
Well, I'm not sure if everyone knows that I was a candidate for school board back in 2006. I received 43% of the votes. I was a little new to all of it, but I knew that's something I wanted to do. And I realized that I needed to go back and get some more education and more experience. So that's what I've been doing. I furthered my education. I've been very much involved in the schools and the community. I'm a student success advisor at South Louisiana Community College, as well as an instructor. I serve on the Lafayette City Parish Council as a councilwoman, so I had the experience working with large budgets, redistricting, and voting on things that really affected people's lives. So I know when I'm going to sit on the school board, if I have that opportunity, I'm going to take it very seriously and consider everyone that's involved. Also, my background, married, Purvis Morrison. We have 3 kids who all graduated from public school and who are all successful, doing very well. We even have one daughter that has a PhD, a product from public school. I believe in public school. I believe in education. I have a strong passion for it. When I advise my kids every day, I advise that child like it's a child of my own. That's how strongly I feel about it. So I hope to gain your support and vote for me. I promise you will not be sorry. I will support you. I will represent you, and I will be a school board member that you could be proud of. I have an open door policy. You could call me at any time. I want to hear from you. I want to know your concerns. I want to help you. Teachers, school bus drivers, cafeteria workers, students, everyone, our community, because it takes all of us to get it done. We have to own our school system like it's ours, because it is. We all own the school system because we all buy into it in one way or another. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison. Mr. Gagnord, Why should you be elected to the Lafayette Parish School Board?
Well, I guess number one, I've been around education all my life. As a sophomore, I kind of was tended to either go this way or get into football or go elsewhere. So I've always had guidance in education. Graduated from LSU and coached. Coach should be enough in itself. You're taking kids from every phase of life, black, white, yellow, green, poor, rich, and you're making them into something. You're making 60 to 70 kids become one goal. I'll work hard. Coaches work hard, days and nights, weekends, holidays, bailing kids out of jail. More time away from your family, more time after school than during school hours. You're looking at 5, 6 hours a day with those kids teaching as compared to coaching year round. I might have had 10 days off per year from driver's ed to teaching. I also started and I did wrestling for all of our community, every high school. I did it for Northside, I did it for Acadiana, Karen Crow, Como, all of them. Off season, I coached them all. They were even my competitors. I love kids. I guess my paycheck would have been as a teacher to see them raise their hand or did they be successful. That's why I know that if these guys try or students try that they can do if they want to achieve that goal. But yeah, I've got experience. I also am on the north side of town 80% of the times, so I have no cultural problem. I'm Cajun, whatever else, but I'm black, I'm white, I'm green, I'm all of it. So I have no problems of crossing the aisles, any of that. I think you people that know me and ask of me know that I pack with all cultures, no problem. I see none of that, but I call it as it is. That's why it's hard to sit here and say, I will do this and I will do that. You got to make that call as it comes. Yes, I think I would be a valuable school board member. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Don. Mr. Cobb, please take this time to tell the voters of Lafayette Parish, District 3, why you should be elected to the Lafayette Parish School Board.
Yeah, I'm a product of the Lafayette Parish school system. My child went to Lafayette High. My wife and I both were teachers in the school system here. And we both love Lafayette. That's why we're still here. We're looking for Lafayette to develop to its fullest potential. When I was young, I read that Lafayette would be the second or third largest city in the state. And I said, I want to be here when that happens because we got the potential. We still got the steady growth. We still got people loving us for various reasons and so forth and hating us for others. But our potential is still there. All we have to do is have faith in the ability of our children to achieve, back those achievements with the knowledge, the knowledge base that's needed for our kids to develop their full potential. Venture with me into the future of Lafayette to make sure that our children are first. One of the things that we've talked about least and has been talked about the least over the last few months are our children, and they are the reason for our being. As a fellow educator, as a person who has dealt with our potential all of my life, I know that our children can succeed. All we need to do is provide them the opportunity. Let's keep looking forward instead of going back, looking at what happened a long time ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb. Mr. Broussard, why should you be elected to Lafayette Parish School Board, District 3?
First, I want to say thank you for the LAPESC board for putting this on, which I am a member of, one of the co-founders, say that. I am Elroy Broussard. I'm community-oriented. I've been involved in District 3. Well, I've been in District 3 all my life. My 4 children graduated from Acadiana High. They're doing well in their motherhood and fatherhood. If any of you from District 3 seeing us walking, you would see my sons, my daughter, my grandchildren walking, meeting and greeting my community. I've been involved in District 3 for 30, 40 years, working in the recreation department and various other things, and I've never seen a child that didn't want to achieve success. I would tell my coaches, don't deny their child an opportunity because you think they're going to fail. Give every child an opportunity to succeed. The score does not reflect if you win or lose. Compete, compete, because this is life's journey, is to compete. I will be a good board member, a great board member, because I'm involved with the community. In the church, the community, if you look at my card, I am involved in so many things. Sometimes I don't even know which meeting I'm going to at night. But it's great to be involved with the people that you love the most. My kids and grandkids are involved, and I've got a granddaughter in college. I've got two of them, they're seniors, and one of them is a senior at Lafayette High, and one is a senior at Northside. I've got juniors, got 13 grandkids. So we are in abundance. Christmas is great at my house. But I represent the children, the parents, the community, the business owners, the leaders in the community in District 3, and I'm going to bring all of those together to make District 3 one of the best that is in the parish of Lafayette.
Thank you. Mr. Angel, moving over to District 2, please tell the voters of Lafayette Parish why you should be re-elected to the Lafayette Parish School Board.
Thank you very much. I feel that I am uniquely qualified to continue to serve on the Lafayette Parish School Board. As I mentioned before, I've always lived where I live in District 2 in Carencro. I live in the house I was born in back in 1946. The only time I didn't live in that house was the 3 years I was in the Army. Again, I think I am in a unique position in that I am a former teacher. I taught in Lafayette Parish schools. I taught at Carencro Middle, and I taught at Austin. I also was an assistant principal in the Lafayette Parish school system, and as such, I think I have that unique ability to work with our employees and staff of Lafayette Parish. I was also a businessman. I owned an independent insurance agency, and let me tell you, somebody mentioned it earlier, $435 million budget is a big business. And so I think it takes a person with business sense to help lead Lafayette Parish. I've also been elected to as mayor of Carencro, as well as a councilman in Carencro, and there were no districts in Carencro. I think that also gives me that ability to look at the parish as a whole, as opposed to, only wanting what I can get from my district and the heck with everybody else's district. I'd like to look at it on a parish-wide basis with, of course, District 2 in mind. I see the lady has 30 seconds. Ça fait que vous voulez dire, si vous voulez faire l'affaire au français, on peut. Bien merci et bonsoir.
Thank you. Showing off those skills there. Mr. Chavis, please take this time to tell the voters of District 2 why you should be elected to the Lafayette Parish School Board.
Part of my feel your way as you go along strategy was to, again, try to raise issues with people in poverty. So my first approach was go into areas where people seem to be doing okay and work from out to in. Then I had this premonition, I don't know what you call it. Go where the people that you're really trying to help and see how they're living and talk to them first. Work from the inside out. So I walked down Rampart Street. I walked through Tima Street and experienced people living in conditions that is just unacceptable. There are those of affluent people have better dog houses and children tree houses, better than the condition that many of the people are living in. Socioeconomic opportunities rest heavily on equal educational opportunities. You can't have one without the other. If you have a poor school, more than likely you got a poor neighborhood around it. So that has to be done. So my issue is this. As a school board member, I will work to ensure that grant funds are spent in accordance with programs, statutes, and regulations, also strengthening accountability for federal dollars, minimizing waste, fraud, and abuse, and providing more transparency. We need to put the money where it is needed. Now, in the end, I was taught by my parents to have faith in God, work hard, respect yourself and others, and the value of a good education, and whatever you do, don't quit, even as poor as we were. The political process is just one more of the many challenges in my life. As I enjoy moderate comforts in my life, reaching back and giving back to the less fortunate of today, often being poor and ignored, helpless as well as hopeless, seem to be the right thing to do. At the end of the day, on November 4th, hopefully, others will share my views and vote likewise.
Thank
However,
you, Mr. Chavis. Thank you. Mr. Mahan, please take this time to tell the voters of District 2 why you should be elected to the Lafayette Parish School Board.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Simon Mahan. I'm a candidate for District 2, which serves Karen Crow and Upper Lafayette. I think I'm your best choice for a candidate, in part because I'm not your typical candidate for a school board. I'm not a lifelong politician. I've taken a vow not to take any lobbyist money to run my campaign. I'm dedicated to serving you, the voters. And I plan on doing that through legwork and homework. With legwork in the 21st century, it looks an awful lot different than what it did in the 20th. We've got online communications that can better enable parents and teachers to communicate with their school board member. And as far as I know, I'm the only candidate that has developed his own website, his own Facebook page, and his own Twitter account. Additionally, with homework, we need a school board that understands the situations that they're facing before they arrive to the boardroom and before they start making decisions that take hours upon hours upon hours. I'm dedicated to reading any research that's available to me to improve the academic achievement of our students and our schools, to support our teachers and our parents. You need to ask yourself as a voter, 4 years ago, you were faced with the same choice. Are you better off today than what you were 4 years ago? If you're not, perhaps we need some new leadership for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Simon. And in closing, we'd like to thank all of you. Thanks to the candidates for your time and participation this evening. It is evident that you put in the time to prepare for this evening as we endeavor to present to the public all of the candidates that are up for election this fall. I would be remiss at this time if I did not mention our sponsors who helped offset the cost of bringing this forum to you. We'd like to thank the 705, the Greater Lafayette Chamber of Commerce, the Pugh Family Foundation, and of course the United Way of Acadiana. Everyone, please do not forget to get out and vote. Early voting dates are October 21st through the 28th. Election day is November 4th, with a runoff if necessary on December the 6th. And thanks to all of you for coming out tonight and for those who are tuned in via AOC. And I also would like to thank AOC and the Light Center for their partnership. Thank you, everyone. Good night.